long, winding road trip comes to a close in South Florida in a Stanley Cup rematch. We get you set for the Oilers and Panthers on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Tom Gazzola inside Boston Pizza, 170th Street with a lot of my new friends. There's Tara. You'll be seeing her all show long. There's Corey B. Hi, Corey B. And then Barry's over there. Get in there, Barry. There's Barry. All right, we got some nasties here at BP. We've also got the Coors Light Cup ready to go. I'll explain that in a little bit. And if you want to join the conversation, text us 780-218-9999. Jump into the nasty chat as well. We're going to have a lot of fun here at Boston Pizza on 107. Talk to Tony, talk to Curtis. They got hit with that power outage that we did too yesterday. And they're back up and operational. And hopefully things are good here tonight. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Benny Thomson back at EST Global HQ. And we've got Matt Kassian, who will be hopping on for Game Changers in a few minutes. And we'll also be joined by Jessica Blaylock, Panthers reporter, covering the team for the last few years, and she was great. It's a pre-tape just to let everyone know, but we'll touch base with Jess, get the scoop on the Panthers. Benny Thomson, how's everything going back at HQ?
It's good. It's good. Lonely, but I won't be so lonely here in a bit. I'll be down at BP's Westgate. Get a good bite to eat. But yeah, it's good. It's exciting night tonight. Obviously, I say that pretty much about every game, but this season has been entertaining for the good or bad. But there's some new blood tonight in the game, which will be fun to talk about, and it should be a good game tonight.
Great guy to talk about that with is Matt Kassian, and he'll be hopping on here in a minute or so. We do have some line combinations to get to. We do need to get to the injury report as well. But Benny, do you want to throw out a question of the night?
Yeah, I want to catch a gauge of what the expectations are for Connor Clattenburg tonight, making his debut in an Oilers uniform for the first time in the regular season. What are your expectations for Clattenburg tonight? That's the question of the day.
Well done, sir. Well done. All right. Text us and let us know your thoughts on expectations for Connor Clattenburg making his NHL debut. The young star playing in his first pro season down in Bakersfield did get the call up late last year out of junior and suffered a concussion in his first game. I believe it was in a fight. So he definitely wants to add that spark. Let's get you some quick lineup notes as we move along here for the Oilers. According to Jack, down in South Florida, you're going to have McDavid between Savoy and Roslovic, Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Mangiapane, Henrique between Frederick and Hyman, and then David Tomaszek with Connor Clattenburg and Matthias Janmark. On defense, Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with Alec Regula, Brett Kulak with Ty Emerson. For the Panthers, I mean, we'll confirm these during warm-up, but it's anticipated we're going to see Anton Lundell with Mackie Samoskevich and Brad Marchand, Evan Rodriguez with Jesper Boqvist and Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett between Carter Verhaeghe and AJ Greer, and then Luke Kunin with Noah Gregor and Jack Devine. On defense for the Panthers, potentially Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad, Nico Mikkola with Seth Jones, and Uvis Balinskis with former Oiler Jeff Petrie. Your starting goalies for tonight. For the Oilers, it will be Stu Skinner. This season, 7-6-3, 3.0 goals against average, 880 save percentage with one shutout. And then at the other end of the rink, Sergei Bobrovsky, 10-5 this year, 261 goals against average, 892 save percentage, and two shutouts. That, of course, brings us to our Advantage Medicine and Physio injury report at Advantage Sport Medicine and Physio. They like to remind you that Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. So get the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-218-9999. Noah Philp, IR now, upper body. Curtis Lazar, upper body. Kasperi Kapanen, LTIR knee. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, IR, upper body. And with the Panthers, they've been dealing with some injury issues themselves. Eetu Luostarinen, recently there was a barbecue incident. Cole Schwint, busted bone. Jonah Gadjevich is out, of course. No Matthew Tkachuk, IR. No Sasha Barkov, IR. And no Dmitry Kulikov, IR as well. That is your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Benny, anything really quickly you want to add in there before we welcome in Cass?
Honestly, I'm just for the people, like, the Panthers are beat up, but to me, if you're trying to use that as an excuse for the Oilers to win tonight, like, we've seen this Oilers team lose to hurt teams this year.
The Oilers are beat up too, by the way.
Exactly. I was about to say, and the Oilers are beat up too. So I mean, these two teams aren't as polished as they were in the Stanley Cup final last year. But I still expect it to be pretty exciting and have guys out there that still hate each other from what happened a couple months ago.
I love it. Let's see some animosity. All right, as we welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian, this is the Coors Light Cup that I'm showing off here. Ooh, nice and shiny, brand new. Cass, Benny, this is going to be up for grabs. You see the simulator over my shoulder, the golf sim? So the Coors Light Cup will be up for grabs at the new golf sim league that they're going to have here at the Coors Light Golf Simulator at Boston Pizza 170th. That gets going on December 8th. The league, it's a 12-week league. No, pardon me. It's 10-week league, 12 matches you have to play.
Wow.
Registration begins November 28th. And like it does, there's no set schedule. It's if you want to be a part of this league, check out the Boston Pizza 170th Facebook page. Curtis and Tony were saying they want to get that going November 28th for registrations. And then you play at your own pace, but you got to get it done at a certain date. The kickoff date is December 8th. And this is the title that's up for grabs at the Coors Light Simulator here at Boston Pizza 170th. And this big, nice trophy. This is metal, not plastic, by the way. Cass, this would fit like 9 6 o'clocker lagers in here.
That's a pretty good amount.
That's a good amount of 6 o'clocker lager.
You'd have three left over if you're buying them in packs of 4. So
that's right. That's right. Well said.
Put you in a good spot. That's what that would do.
Nice little buzz. Sharing is caring, Cass. Sharing is caring. We were talking about how beat up both of these teams are. We were talking about Connor Clattenburg, who is making his NHL debut. That's part of Game Changers, of course, and we'll get to that. But this road trip, Cass, like, I don't know, man. Like, people are down on this team. I went and played men's league yesterday, and the guys on my team were asking me what the hell's wrong with the Oilers. And then when I explained what I knew and what I've been told, they got mad at me for telling them things they didn't want to hear. And I'm like, why do you guys even ask me if you're not going to like the answer? Because they're expecting these miracles, these tiny little miracles mid-season, and it's just, they're not there.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, why are you asking me if you're going to get mad at me? I don't know how to describe this road trip. How would you?
Painful. Painful with injuries, painful with play. Painful maybe not the right. Just disappointing. It's just another disappointing road trip. Long and disappointing. Painful in some ways, but it's just disappointing. That's what it is, guys.
Yes, it is.
Like, is it like, I don't know, like what were the, now what, like in that conversation, Tom, like what was the expectation? Like, what did it seem like they were hoping you were going to say?
Oh God. They wanted trades. They were like, a trade's coming, right? There has to be a trade coming. And I'm like, sorry guys. No, there is no trade coming. There's nothing imminent. They wanted changes behind the bench. And I said, sorry guys, no changes behind the bench. And then a couple of them, and my Uncle Diego included, who is finally now becoming a nasty and starting to watch and listen to our shows and our station, was like, I really enjoyed what Cass had to say about goaltending help and trading for 2 new goalies and saying, well, Colorado did it. And he did the voice too. And he goes, I really like that Matt Kassian. He's pretty funny. And I was like, yes, he's also an excellent analyst. So
even though I mock the listener sometimes, but you know what? I only do it when you deserve it. That's the thing.
We get mocked a lot too.
We do.
We get mocked.
I get mocked ruthlessly. You tell Uncle Diego thank you. He is a handsome and wonderful gentleman. I actually think haven't I met him? I'm not sure if I met him once, but that's okay.
You might have met him.
I might have met him. I mean, that's the reality, Tom, for all that is like, there's no changes on the horizon. Knobloch's he's not getting fired. You're not trading a goalie. Now you might, but you most likely are not trading a goalie because you don't have the cap space for anything else. You're not making a big splash trade yet, again, because you don't have the cap space for it. So there's no massive changes that are immediate. I don't see it. Now, we could be wrong. There could be something. There always could be something. But just to be like, oh, well, you're just going to solve it, and you just expect Bowman to be able just to do something. It's like, well, what? You don't have any powder to do that. So you're kind of stuck.
It's not an answer that pleases many people, but it's kind of stuck in reality. And I mean, if you're not trying to get something going or getting a sense of the market, then you're not doing your job right. And I'm sure phone calls are being made, but I don't know what's exactly realistic. And we actually had Dave Pagnotta on Hello Hockey earlier today, and he said the same thing. He's like, there's a lot of phone calls happening with many teams right now, but nobody's really willing to budge at this point, and teams are still assessing what they are. And there's such a mushy middle. I'm using that term a lot lately, but really, in both conferences, there's a very, very robust middle ground. There's only a few elite teams. There's a couple of crappy teams, and then everybody else is in the mix, it feels like.
Which is why there's nobody that's selling major things yet. And if they are, they're looking at Edmonton going like, aha, we're going to make you pay for it. And the reality is that price is going to be way too steep for anything that Edmonton can actually afford.
Yes. Well said. Thank you for backing me up on that, Cass. That's what good teammates do here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. All right, let's get into Game Changers with Cass, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He's community driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, damonbunting.com. or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon was at the client mixer the other night, as were Tony and Curtis from BP 170th. And we had such a great time. It was a lot of fun. And we really thank all of them for being a part of our fine station. So let's get into it. Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cast number one. I love this one because it's very true and it's hurtful. Fragility.
Yeah, it is hurtful. Knobloch said it post-game interview. You can see a fragile group in the third period of the game the other day for the Edmonton Oilers against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this group is fragile. Mm-hmm. Goal goes in, good goal, bad goal. I don't think it matters right now. It just feels like the sag is real. The deflate is real. The trying to hold on for dear life and just hoping that something works for you is real. Like, that's mentally where this team is at. It is a fragile group right now, a very fragile group right now. Mentally, and especially at the end of a long road trip, that's a difficult place to be as a team. Now they put themselves in that position. You know, that position hasn't been forced upon them. They have done this to themselves. Good point. Well, it doesn't matter if they did it to themselves. The reality is it's a fragile group. And you know, it's a scary thing because there's no immediate curse. I mean, cure. The cure is to work your way out of it, right? The cure is to just do the right things, continue to do the right things, good, bad, ugly, whatever. Just like play the same way and play really well and just stick to it and stick with it, and good things will happen. Because if we look at that game the other day against Tampa, because they played a pretty solid game for most of the game. Yep. Probably deserved to be up a couple. Vasilevsky was really good. Now, Pickard made some great saves in the third period, had a really solid game, kept them up in that one. But really, they should have been up a couple goals before that. You know, they should have been up 2 or 3, really, heading into that the end of that game. Now, if the team was, let's say they had like a 700 win percentage instead of being at 500 right now, or like a 750. If they were one of the better teams in the league thus far in the season, and they have a game like that, it's probably not going to really crack them, right? Like it's probably not going to phase you. You're going to be like, yeah, we played really well. You've asked us, we played good. Kind of got goalie a little bit. We're fine, right? We're fine. We'll just kind of keep doing what we're doing. But the challenge is like this team finally plays better against a pretty good team, and then they still can't find a way to score and still can't find a way to win. And that fragility is showing. And my fear heading into a game like tonight is that you had that emotional loss, right? In a game where, again, normally during the year, if they're winning more than they're losing and they're playing pretty well, they probably are looking at that and it's not going to phase them. Right? You're just brushing it off. You're kind of going, whatever, not a big deal. But tonight, guys, it feels like the impact could potentially mentally be bigger, especially if there's a bad bounce, let's say early on, right? Like if there's a bad bounce or Florida does something good early and finds a way, or someone makes a mistake, goaltending, defense, or forwards, and the puck ends up in the back of their net, it just kind of feels like this group is ready just to shut down and to be ready for the end of the road trip. Just be like, I'm done. Right, I'm done. This is it. I'm done. No more road trip. Like, let's go home. I just want this thing to be over. I'm done. We're just going to go through the motions like that. The reality is that mentality, as much as players wouldn't want to admit it, that can potentially be there at the end of long road trips, especially when you're not playing well. And it just feels like no matter what you do, you're getting beaten up. So fragile group indeed tonight, and how the Edmonton Oilers deal with that fragility will tell us a lot about where mentally this team is at.
5-hour flight into the wind, coming back the other way too. So that's going to be a sour plane ride if things don't go well against the Panthers this evening. All right, point number 1 of Game Changers, fragility. Point number 2, Cass, Clattenburg.
Well, not much you can change with this lineup. However, this one's an interesting one. Because we have watched this team not really have anybody there to drag them into the fight in nights when it's tough, in nights when it's emotional. Now, as you guys mentioned and talked about so beautifully, just like Edmonton is banged up, Florida's banged up. Tkachuk's not going to be out there. Some of the rattiness of that team isn't going to be as evident. They're probably not going to be playing at the same tempo and physicality as they do in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup final when you see them. However, Edmonton has not had the entirety of this season against teams that play like Florida and play physical, and against skill teams, against anybody, really. They haven't had anyone take the reins and say, hey, I'm going to physically pull the team into this game. And it feels like this is the first time this season in Clattenburg that we're like, hey, maybe we got someone that can do that. Now, we want Frederick to do it. He did a little bit in that game against Columbus a couple weeks ago, but he hasn't found a way to really consistently do it. So Connor Clattenburg, they didn't call him up to score goals, right? They called him up to play 7 to 10 minutes, not to necessarily get in a fight. And I watched his fights. He's not a heavyweight. He's not. He's not a heavyweight. Like he's not.
I was going to ask you about that element.
I watched him, and I watched like he's not a guy that throws big. He kind of tries to hold on, tries to get in tight, which is fine. I mean, it's for anybody getting in fights on the ice. Like it's hard to do. It is scary. It is adrenaline filled, and it is difficult. So I mean, guys doing it and standing in there, regardless of how they do it, I have a ton of respect for that. So, but when I watch him from a technical standpoint, like he's not going to strike fear into people like Matt Rempe does. Now, Rempe does it just because he's big and he hits people from behind and elbows people, not because he's scary fighting, because he's not. But like, he's got that big physical, okay, well, he'll still fight, even though I think his technique is, Rempe's is horrible, but that's another story for another time. Yeah, but he is just as a giant right now. Clattenburg listed at 6'4". Really, he's 6'2", guys. Like I watched it. I've seen him. Like he's 6'2". He's not 6'4". He's 6'2", but plays big. Okay. Yes. That's something that Edmonton doesn't have. Really, you want him, And I hope he is. I hope from a first NHL game standpoint, young guy that was born a couple months before I was drafted, which is nuts now to think. Like this is where we're at. Like he was born a couple weeks before I was drafted, which is crazy. Like he can bring some energy here at the end of a road trip. He can bring some fire at the end of the road trip. He can bring that. Yeah, maybe he does get in a fight. Maybe he does just take a donkey run at someone if they're down a goal, if they're down 2 goals, and he's just like, all right, guess what? I'm going to do whatever I can to stay here in the NHL. And he knows that he's not here to score goals. He's here to be physical. He's here to frustrate the other team. He's here to let them hear some footsteps on occasion, so the guys have to pick their head up, and so the bench is screaming at where he is. I mean, that's what he's here for. And I mean, it excites me because we just haven't seen that. Now, we thought Frederick was going to be that. We thought he was going to be both a threat offensively and have that physical ability to score. Not that we expected him to be like a Tom Wilson level in terms of output, but that's kind of what we were hoping for, right? Like a guy that's physical, puts points up, kind of does it all. Like they similar to Evander Kane when Evander Kane's playing well, right? Can score, greasy around the net, and he just hasn't got there. They have no other forwards that play that way. And so for Clattenburg, I'm kind of like, man, if he can bring some of that juice where in limited minutes, because he's going to get very limited minutes tonight, but in those limited minutes, we notice him. I mean, if we're noticing his physical impact, the bench is going to notice it tenfold. Yeah. And I think the room would feel that potentially. And if there's something from the forward group in particular that I see that's lacking this year, it's that doggedness in and around the front of the net in the offensive zone. It's that physicality in the corners. Like that hasn't been there. So I'm excited to see him, and maybe I'm working myself up and hoping that it's like it has more of an impact than it may, and that could be possible. But at the least, I'm like, hey, there's not much you can switch with this roster, as we talked about trades, but calling up a guy that's in the system, that's a young guy that is here with something to prove, to add a little bit of jump in your lineup, I am here all day for it, guys. All day for it.
Yeah. I am very excited at how juiced up you're getting. I'm feeding off of this energy.
Well, because they just don't have someone to pull them into it. Like, and again, we thought Frederick was going to be that guy, and it's like in those games when they're sleepy, like just someone go hit someone from behind, not to necessarily hurt the other person, or maybe just a little bit, but like, do something a little bit sketchy, do something a little bit dirty, like do something a little bit that's going to like just bump the goalie on the other team. Right, like, and get him chopping at you, and you give him a little push in the shoulder, and then all of a sudden it's like all hell breaks loose. Like that's what you want to see when your team is flat and doesn't have anything. And there have been too many periods this season that this team has been flat and doesn't have anything. And so here's a guy that could he potentially be a solution? Maybe. And since you're not. I just about started to swear because I'm getting even more worked up than I meant to. Like, since you're like not playing your third and fourth liners on the penalty kill anyways, like you're running with McDavid and Draisaitl, who cares if he plays 6 or 7 minutes a night? I don't care. Yeah. Play him 6 or 7 minutes a night and go run people over. Take donkey runs, throw an elbow, do something. Like pull this team into it. Like get the fire going. So yeah, sorry to sound off on that, but it's something that's been lacking. And you have a guy here today that's a young guy with something to prove. Listen, again, watch his fights. If he gets in the fight, don't expect much. I don't, but he might do it anyways, which is great. Right. Like I don't expect him to go beat the tails off anybody. He's not going to be scary, intimidating that way, but he's willing, and he might hit somebody, he might do something. So that's, again, I'm hopeful.
Cass,
go ahead, Benny.
Do you think that, so you were mentioning like the type of role that he could play, and I'm with you. Like there's a possibility that he comes out shot out of a cannon and runs guys and is physical. Do you see a possible path to him sticking around? Is there any chance you think, no matter what he does tonight, do you think there's a chance he would take a spot off of a regular Oiler right now?
Potentially.
How does that become a reality? Because I think of contract status and
that's why I said potentially. Like I mean, it's tough. You probably are looking, and you have to unseat one of those guys getting put on waivers ultimately. Yeah, right. And that's why I said potentially. That it's a tough thing, But I tell you what, if he has a great game tonight, plays physical, is involved, and the team plays better, he's going to help himself dramatically with that. Yeah. But then that's when you go, okay, as the season goes on, maybe he gets into another game with injuries and he does get an opportunity. Now, all of a sudden, if the team is looking to make trades or looking to make moves, all of a sudden you have a viable option to have a guy that's going to play as your 12th or 13th guy. So it's not super likely in the short term that happens, but you want to talk about finding a way as a GM to have an impact. Well, if you've got a guy in the system and you have to have someone to try to clear waivers, like that's a lot easier finding the way than trying to find a team to make a trade. So that's potential, but less likely. However, again, there's that possibility if he has an impact.
Yep.
Okay, guys, really quickly before we jump into point number 3 of game changers with a really fired up Matt Kassian. Expectation for Connor Clattenburg, not from us, on this show or media-wise, because his name has come up a lot from, fans of the team, our viewers, our listeners. They say, get this guy up here, get this guy up here. And I understand where that comes from, and I respect it. But a guy who's played 16 pro games in his career, all in the minors, has a goal and assist, 59 penalty minutes, is a -5. I understand his skill set is unique, but what is a realistic expectation? And like, I feel like, okay, they're like, go get this guy up here, and he's going to be the spark plug that they need. That's tough for a 20-year-old that's only played 16 pro games. So I'm a little bit leery of that. And Cass, you had to break it to the NHL at some point. Like, how hard is this going to be on a guy like that? How much pressure is on him?
No, it's hard. There's lots of pressure. I mean, there's always pressure, right?
Sure.
Your guy isn't alive. There is always an insane amount of pressure, a unfathomable in some cases amount of pressure. Like I expect him to play 6 or 7 minutes, if that, 5 minutes maybe. By all accounts, he's not a guy that's completely sorted out that defensive side of his game and the responsibility side, and that is the biggest kicker maybe for him potentially staying, if he were to stay, or to get that next look up. Is he, from a pressure side, I don't think like there's pressure for him to come out and be physical and be a spark plug. But that's the pressure. He's like, I love this pressure, right? Like, because I'm just going to run around and be an idiot. That's the easy side. The difficult side for him is going to be, I still have to be defensively responsible. And the difficult side is going to be, defensemen move the puck a little bit faster in the NHL than they do in the AHL. And they move the puck a little bit cleaner in the NHL than they do in the AHL.
Right.
And if you make mistakes, you get burned a little bit more in the NHL than you do in the AHL. And as you said, it's not like he's played 100 games pro already. Like, he hasn't had a full season playing pro, right? So there's that development side where it's like he's a young man still learning the pro game, and that would be where the challenge is going to be. And when we have to temper some of those expectations is, like, by all accounts, this isn't a guy that has been consistent enough defensively that it's like you're going to give him 10, 12, 13 minutes at the NHL level. I mean, he hasn't been there yet. So temper the expectations in that we want to see that physicality and pull that out from him and to pull that into the team. But the pressure and the challenge is going to be, can he do that and still remain defensively responsible? And we'll see.
Okay, really quickly, both of you. This comes in from Box Pounder via the inbox 780-218-9999. Tell us what you expect from Connor Clattenburg tonight in his NHL debut. Box Pounder says, hey guys, Clattenburg versus Bennett tonight? Cheers, Box Pounder. Yes or no, Benny? And yes or no, Cass?
No. Why would Bennett's going to look at that and go like, meh, I'm going to leave it. Unless you do something to force his hand.
Yeah. To me, the guy that Clattenburg could be clashing up with is AJ Greer.
Yep.
That seems a whole lot more up his alley. That's who's on the thumbnail. Is like if Clattenburg, I'll call it now. If Clattenburg's fighting tonight, it's AJ Greer. Like they're both fourth line guys that they're not offensive threats. So they don't do a whole bunch outside of being energy guys. So if he's the clash with anyone, it's AJ Greer.
All right, let us know your expectations for Connor Clattenburg tonight, 780-218-9999. That is the inbox. Jump into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. It is Game Changers with Matt Kassian. Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1, fragility. Point number 2, Clattenburg. Point number 3, Cass, rage.
Yeah, yeah. Much like I have been and was hitting that already. I mean, guys, that's what I want to see. Listen, it's not the same two teams that met in the finals. It's not. There's guys injured. Tkachuk is injured, and he's the primary driver for the Edmonton Oilers of that rage. We'll see what level Bennett's playing at in terms of being frustrating to play against, although he always will be. I want to see a little bit of that rage. Like, we talk about the fragility, talk about working your way through it. Another way to get through it is to anger your way through it. Is to be so fed up that you are willing to just go to the wall. You're willing to go to war. You're willing to go to battle. And you're just like, no, screw this. I'm done losing. Screw this. I'm done having these guys. And screw this. By the way, these guys have won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, and we've been on the receiving end of that. And again, I know that it's like, this isn't a Stanley Cup game. This is not a playoff game. But finding a little bit of that hate inside your gut, I think, is a positive thing. Again, Edmonton Oilers have been very flat and emotionless most games this season, and they're at risk because of the fragility of, kind of inwardly collapsing and curling up in a little ball here at the end of this trip. And I'm just hoping that rage exists there, and that they can feed it, that they can be consumed by the dark side tonight, and find a way to give into their rage and actually play an emotionally charged, active, fiery hockey game.
Yeah.
Cass, I like your rage tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully you have some on the post-game show, okay?
Yeah, probably will.
Okay.
We'll see.
There you go. There's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, bringing it tonight on Game Changers. We'll catch up with him on the post-game show. Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Benny, before we go to Chris Knobloch and then Jessica Blaylock from the Florida Panthers broadcast team, just some final thoughts or some stuff you've seen via the nasty chat that you want to hit on before we go to Knobloch.
Yeah, and it ties in a little bit with Cass was saying too. This isn't just a big game for the Oilers as well. Like that's the point I think I want to make here, is that Florida also has not been great. Now, it's been the storyline for both teams has been a little bit different. Panthers dealing with a whole lot more injuries. Oilers have dealt with some injuries, but they still have had the majority of their guys for this whole year. And so it's just been a lack of good play for the Oilers. So it's a little bit different, but both teams have similar records going into tonight. Both teams are still going to have solid ends to the year to make the playoffs. I expect a little bit of the frustrations of maybe their season not going as well as planned to be in tonight's game, as paired with obviously the hatred that they had for each other in the Stanley Cup final the past 2 years. So that's kind of just the point I wanted to make, that both teams have not been great this regular season. So I think we could see some desperation from both teams tonight.
Well said, Benny. We're live on location, Boston Pizza, 170th Street, the Coors Light Cup. It's going to get going soon. That is the Sim League that's going to be happening at the golf simulator here, the Coors Light Golf Simulator here at BP 170th. There's Tara. Say hi, Tara. Yes, she's the wrong way. Hello, there she is. She's here with Barry. And then there's Big Uke. There's Corey B. There's VR Montenegro. Good contingent of nasties. I think Cal in the Park is here, too. There they are. Oh, all right. We've got a good crew coming down today at BP. Come on down if you're not doing anything. Lots of prizes. We're giving away a Christian McCaffrey jersey as our grand prize. And then there's T-shirts, soccer ball, Molson prize pack, bunch of GCs. We're going to have a lot of fun here. Registration, if you want to take part in the Coors Light Cup Golf Simulator League here at BP 170, it begins November 28th. Check out their Facebook page and their social media stuff, Boston Pizza 170th, and you can register, and then the league gets going on December 8th. All right, let's hear from Chris Knobloch, and let's hear from Jessica Blaylock, as well as Connor Clattenburg, as we roll along here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show.
No Jake Wallman on the ice today. Just an update on that front lower body issue, obviously.
Lower body from the shot that he blocked, and we expect he's day-to-day. but things look better. He's moving around. He took his walking boot off. So we anticipate he'll be back, whether it's on Tuesday or Saturday, but shouldn't be long term.
The team put Noah Philp on LTIR out. He's out with the upper body issue. Just your thoughts on Connor Clattenburg and why he was the choice the players selected to come up from Bakersfield?
Well, the guy that's kind of playing in that role in the American League was playing a very similar role here, just playing fourth line minutes, some energy. He's brought a lot to his game and has helped his team down there. And we want that same enthusiasm, excitement, and physicality.
This has been a long road trip. You've had a lot of road games this year. I think Jack mentioned against Tampa, maybe one of your top 2 or 3 games all year in terms of the compete and the buy-in that you had from all your guys. Just a thought on trying to close this out the right way, and obviously, look, you're playing a team that vanquished your dreams the last couple of years.
Yeah, in Tampa Bay, there was a lot of things to be optimistic about. I think we ran out of gas into the game. They pushed, but the guys did not quit. They worked really hard, and unfortunately, in the last couple of minutes, we gave up that last goal. Otherwise, it would have been a game that we would have felt really good about. But we learn some things from it and move on. And obviously, we got a big test tonight against Florida. We're very familiar with. They haven't changed their style of play. Obviously, they're missing some players, but we're focused on getting our game back.
On Thursday that you're hoping to replicate tonight on the defensive side?
Well, I thought there was a lot of commitment to win battles. I thought their defense did an outstanding job blocking shots, and any loose pucks that were laying around, they scooped up. And there's going to be breakdowns, there were, and Picks made some really big saves, especially later in the game, early third period. Just want more of that commitment to defense, and I thought against Tampa we had that.
I'm sure you saw it a few days ago that Clattenburg had 3 fights in one game. What goes through your mind when you see 3 fights in one game?
Well, we're not anticipating them to get 3 fights. We just want the physicality, the hitting, getting in the forecheck, and just playing that type of game. And we could have got somebody who maybe been scoring more in Bakersfield, but that player is not going to be playing that same kind of role here. So, he's been doing very well down there, wanting to be noticed, wanting to impact his team, and we need that energy.
I know Colin Chalk said that he's a dying breed. What's your opinion on that, on players that used to be able to muck it up and stay in the NHL, and now it's obviously a different game?
Well, he understands that, maybe he doesn't not the fastest player or the most skilled, but he's very competitive, and that's what most of this game's about, is compete. And he's willing to battle and do all the little things that will give him an edge to be able to play in this league. So, he's definitely earned it. Not only what he did in Bakersfield, but coming in here, training camp, and the exhibition games that he played was very noticeable. So we're very happy for him.
So 2 calendar years since you became the head coach, you knew that Flora would be the team you'd see the most 18 times in your career.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect that. But if it's a team from the other conference, then that would be a good thing.
Great.
Stewart tonight?
Yes, Skinner.
Leon said before the season that it takes maybe a while for this team to find his identity. Where do you see this team in this way now to find its identity?
I think we're getting close. Obviously, there was a lot of transition this year, especially at forward 5 or 7 new forwards, which made it a lot of line juggling, finding out who fits where, and then on top of that, some injuries. But every team goes through that. But I think it was mostly trying to find guys some chemistry, but also guys getting familiar with our systems. And now, especially I would say next week, we're getting a couple more guys back with Newton Hopkins and Kapanen, which will get our team looking more like it should. But I believe we're starting to round it out and starting to play like we can. obviously the schedule has made it a little more difficult at this point of the year because of the amount of travel. I know this road trip, 7 road games in 12 days, and yeah, I think at this point of the year, you better find your identity soon.
Pleased to welcome in Jessica Blaylock from the Florida Panthers, covering them and their championship seasons, as we know all too well here in Edmonton. And Jess, what is the afterglow of winning back-to-back championships like in South Florida?
It still feels surreal. I continue to think about it all the time and how blessed and how lucky I feel to be, this very small part of it, in the sense that I get to do the TV broadcast for the team. And you wonder your entire career if you're going to even have the opportunity to cover a team that plays for a championship or a title, let alone a team that wins it, let alone a team that wins it in back-to-back seasons. And so, I think there's very much an afterglow from a sense of gratitude and appreciation, but from the players' perspective, it is all business.
Nice.
And, there's skills tests and physical tests coming into the season. They were even stronger than they were at the start of last year, which speaks volumes of the way that they handle their business during the off season, keeping themselves ready, keeping themselves in shape, and just how badly, they want to continue what's been created down here in South Florida. So definitely, it's been a lot of fun and a wild ride, and hope it continues. But, for these players, they realize that every season is a brand new season, and they're certainly not resting on their laurels of anything they've done over the past couple of years. Well,
let me just update you on how things are up here. There's some envy and some grumbling that's been happening, especially with Edmonton's 9-9-5 start. I know the Panthers are off to that 11-8-1 start, and it's been a weird season. Like, even in the Eastern Conference, things are super tight. In the Western Conference, there's no real disparity outside the Avs being super good and then the Flames being really bad, and then there's a big mushy middle. How would you describe what you've seen firsthand from the Panthers so far?
Yeah, it's obviously been a very unique start to the season, just in the sense of all of the injuries that we've had. Obviously knew we were going to start the year without Matthew Tkachuk, who's such a huge part of not only what the Panthers do on the ice, but the emotional fabric of the team. Lost Tomas Nosek to an off-season injury. And then the first day of all the veterans practicing at training camp, Alexander Barkov goes down, which is just the biggest gut punch that you could ever deal with as, a fan of the Florida Panthers. And then a couple games into the season, Dmitry Kulikov gets hurt. And now, the other day, Cole Schwindt breaks his arm running into Sergei Bobrovsky trying to make a play on the puck. And Etulo Starainen, has an off-the-ice injury that he's dealing with. So it's just been a very odd start to the season, because you cannot necessarily play to your identity missing some of the pieces that you're missing. So it's been a process of learning what your new identity looks like, how different lines are going to look with different skaters. Guys have had the opportunity to slot up, like a Mackie Samoskevich, like an AJ Greer, like a Jesper Boquist, and they're getting huge opportunities. But it's definitely been a unique start. And but give the Panthers credit. They're not just trying to tread water; they're still trying to win these games, and know that they're going to add these pieces back, hopefully at some point. And like you mentioned, there's so much parity in the league. And I actually asked Paul Maurice about that recently, if he felt like there was more parity in the league than ever before. And he immediately answered yes. And we see these teams that used to be, quote unquote, kind of the easy 2 points, and their young players are developing, right? So nobody's really, like you mentioned, kind of grabbed hold, except for maybe the Avalanche. But in the East, things just continue to be wide open. So you get up every morning, you check the standings, you go from third place in the division to eighth place in the division based on one or two teams winning. So it's just overall been a wild start, and just a team that is still continuing night in and night out to look for an identity and establish that identity consistently.
I'll tell you this right now. Some around here would suggest that the Oilers are an easy 2 points right now. So we'll see if that happens tonight.
But you have players like Connor McDavid.
Yes.
On Draisaitl and Zach Hyman. I am never going to call a team like that an easy out.
Hey, I said some around here, not all. So that's the key point there. Jessica Blaylock joining us now, Panthers reporter, as we get you set for the first meeting of these two teams after they faced off in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. And you talk about like the identity and this team striving to be excellent, obviously, as defending champs and creating that identity. How much of it is Brad Marchand kind of stepping up? Because he was a great get at the deadline last year.
Right.
And it just seems like he is just fit in perfectly as a Panther.
Yeah, and this is something that I asked Bill Zito about specifically in training camp, especially after you lost Alexander Barkov. You know, you look at Brad Marchand, just like Barkov, a guy that's worn the C, a guy that is the ultimate leader. You look at Matthew Tkachuk, emotional guy. Brad Marchand knows how to have an emotional feel for the game and when it needs a big moment. And so to me, it feels like Brad Marchand becomes even that much more important in your dressing room because of what he brings and the way that it mirrors some of the guys you're currently missing in your lineup. He is one of the most positive guys that you will ever be around. You know, this is another thing coaches talked about, how on the bench, he just never gives up in a game, even when the team might be down a couple goals. He truly, truly believes this team can always come back and win it. He knows how to keep the mood light when things kind of feel heavy. He's done a tremendous job continuing to mentor Anton Lundell and Eetu Luostarinen and, you know, just these young players that have learned so much, not only from having him in the dressing room, but from being on a line with him. He's been awesome. And I'm fascinated by this almost character arc that he's undergone over the last couple of years, where he used to be everybody's favorite guy to hate. And now you see people and they're like, man, I kind of think that I like Brad Marchand. And he's so impossible not to like. And we luckily now with the Florida Panthers have gotten such a front row view of that. And he's just incredible, both on the ice, what he's doing at age 37, and both off the ice. It's just a human being and a leader. 23
points in 19 games. He's definitely stepped up, or just continues to be, pretty darn good for a 37-year-old. So appreciate that as a 1980s baby myself. So
same.
Yes, we still got it. We still got it. Okay, so another guy that I want to ask you about is Jeff Petrie. Just celebrated his 1,000th game, started his career here in Edmonton. I remember him back in Oklahoma City on the farm. I had to go down there, do reports, and got to know Jeff, got to know Julie. Seeing him with the kids and the lineup read, and he's sitting there. He looked stoic, which is him, but I know he's got a pulse because I got to know him well. How has he kind of fit in with the group? Because he's been a good defenseman for a long time now.
Yeah, and stylistically kind of plays, you know, a similar style to what the Florida Panthers play. And I give him a ton of credit because he has come into this organization. He's getting acclimated to a new system. He started out the season playing with Dmitry Kulikov. Cooley goes down, you know, so Uvis Balinskis slots in. Then we acquire Donovan Sabrango off waivers. So the team wants to get a look at Sabrango. So now he's playing with Donovan Sabrango. And so, you know, that can't be easy to balance so many different partners on defense when you're still also just trying to find your own way within the system. So I think he's done a great job. And I talked to him recently just about how the whole transition's been going. And he said, you know, when I go out there and I try to overthink it, that's kind of when the issues come. But when I go, you know, don't really think and just play is when I have a lot more success. And so between, everything he's kind of taken on in a short amount of time, I really think he's done a tremendous job with all the responsibility he's taken on.
That sounds like an old pro answer that he gave you, and I'm not surprised at all. So, grizzled veteran Jeff Petrie with the Florida Panthers. 4 of the last 5 games have been Panthers wins. In your opinion, what's clicking for them right now, despite all these injuries?
I think special teams, for sure. The power play has caught life. The penalty kill has been really good. And I think also the fact that the Panthers have finally unlocked a little bit of offense. They put up 6 goals against the Washington Capitals. They put up 8 goals on Monday night against the Vancouver Canucks. They've adapted stylistically when they needed to. They did a tremendous job the other night against the New Jersey Devils, defensively, and the goaltending from Sergei Bobrovsky, winning that game 1-0. So even looking at this week, 2 games that had completely different identities, and the Panthers found a way to prevail in both of them. So, special teams, the offense has been there when they've needed it. And they've looked like the old school Panthers defensively when they've needed it. So that ability to adapt and rely on some of those staples that have become so synonymous over the last couple of seasons with the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, that sounds like a tough night for the Oilers, if I do say so myself, if that's what we see from the Panthers. Jess Blaylock with us, Panthers reporter, getting us set for the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Okay, this one is a style question. This is me being a jersey nerd. I saw the Winter Classic jerseys. I'm not going to lie, at first, I was like, oh. Then I saw the details. Then I was like, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. I like the throwback idea. I like what the Rangers did with their uniforms as well, as we get set for that game in it says Lone Depot Park, right?
Down in Miami.
Marlins play. Yeah.
Yep.
How are they being received by the fan base? How do you look at these uniforms? Because it's like old school meets new school, and I'm kind of appreciating it now.
Yeah, very much so. Old school meets new school. I love the color scheme. I think the color scheme looks phenomenal. The Leaping Cat is one of my favorite logos, emblems of the Florida Panthers. That and the palm tree and the hockey stick crossing, because I just think that's so, indicative of hockey in the state of Florida, right? So I really, really like it. I really appreciate kind of the throwback nods. Obviously, with our ownership, there's so many military connections in just in the state of Florida. So there's a nod to, the military. It's got, that Winter Classic logo, but then on the back, there's also a rat emblem for the nod to the history and traditions, of Panthers that stem back to the very, very beginning. So a lot of cool details. I think for some people, they love it. And then there's some people who I've seen say, well, I didn't like it at first, but similar, right? It's really, really growing on me. And I think when you see it in person versus pictures, it also looks even better in person. And so, they were flying off the shelves the other day. I went to practice and I saw this lengthy line for the team store and was like, oh, duh. Yeah. Like they're starting to sell the Winter Classic jerseys today. And so people were lined up out the door to pick them up. And, so just based on, the number they've sold so far, they seem to be very, very popular with the fan base. And I'm super pumped to actually see them on the boys when they drop the puck for the Winter Classic. It's going to be an incredible event.
That will be really neat to see it in that setting with those two teams. So I'm glad we got to talk about it. And if I said to you, it's a faux retro look, does that make sense?
A little bit, in the sense that it's like an intentional throwback, but a brand new uniform, and almost like a little bit more of like an updated take on the Leaping Cat.
Yes.
So I could see that. I can see that.
Okay, so not completely crazy in saying full retro.
Not totally off base.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very, very much. Jess, this has been awesome. Thank you for getting us up to date on the Panthers going into this game. Have a great broadcast. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jess Blaylock with the Florida Panthers covering them. We're going to go now to Connor Clattenburg making his NHL debut. Let's hear from the rookie.
On getting the call and being ready to go for your NHL debut?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to do the pregame skate in Ontario, and KG pulled me over and said, "Pack your stuff, you're going up." And I didn't believe it at all, but it was pretty surreal.
When did it kind of hit you?
Just kind of when I phoned my dad, I told him right away, and just hearing it from his voice kind of. I just was like, wow, this is happening. So it's been pretty cool.
What was the reaction like from your father?
Yeah, it was just instant tears from him. And I mean, it's the same from my mom too. And they're just thrilled for me.
Maybe just take us through your journey, what it's been like to be you. I know you're Connor's head coach, Carl Cox, said that you were a dying breed, but one that can take you to the next level. How much pride do you take in that dying breed and owning up to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that's obviously gotten me to today and playing in this game tonight, and it's just something I found in my game during my career, and I just carried it with me, and it's just something I enjoy, and I enjoy doing it for the team and everyone around me, so let's continue to do that.
I know it's been a short career in pro hockey for you so far, but what have you learned about yourself, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really tough, fast league, a lot of strong guys, but just managing the pro schedule, and it's a lot more games in a short amount of time, and I'm just learning how to take care of myself and be that teammate for everyone else.
Are you able to fall asleep the night before your NHL debut?
It took a while to get down. Yeah, it took a while to fall asleep, and I'm sure this nap will be pretty hard to fall asleep, but I'm just ready to get going tonight.
Does it seem a little surreal? You were not drafted as an 18-year-old. You know, fifth round pick in 19, to think less than 2 years later, you're getting a game. Like I mean, you must just be thinking to yourself, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even since going into the OHL, like being the 10th round pick, I was like, where's this going? Like, I never imagined that a year after or 2 years after being drafted, I'll be playing my first game, but I just got to take this moment in and play with all my heart tonight.
What did you learn about yourself?
All right, there's Connor Clattenburg, very excited, making his NHL debut tonight. A lot of people oddly curious to see how he performs. Cass expects him to have 6 or 7 minutes and maybe mix it up a little bit. So we'll see. Benny, any quick text that you want to get to in regard to Clattenburg before we get to the odds check?
Yeah, I just saw a lot of love for Clattenburg in the nasty chat. Like this has been something that fans have wanted, and it's nice that they're listening. You know what I mean? It's nice. Well, I guess they're not making their decision based off of what the fans are saying, of course, but it's nice that the fans got what they wanted, is what I should say. They're getting a look at Clattenburg, who does have the best stats in the AHL, but you know what his play style from his time in Bakersfield should help the Oilers tonight in his limited minutes, like Cass was saying. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
All right, keep an eye on Connor Clattenburg as he makes his NHL debut. Really quickly, the game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta, safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. Your promo code's EST Casino, $50 deposit for a $50 casino bonus, $50 deposit and a $50 free bet if you put in EST Sports, your money line. Edmonton plus 111, Florida minus 130. They are the home favorites. And then the over-under set at 5.5 tonight. The over at minus 143. The under at plus 108. Quick reminder, today is the last day of pizza for Ben in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. $5 from every large, $4 from every medium, $3 from every small, $2 from every individual, and $1 from every kid's pizza goes to the Ben Stelter Foundation. That's been running since the 18th. It wraps up today. So if you feel like grabbing a pizza, go to BP's and support a fantastic cause. Look at Tara. She's very excited. How was your first pregame show? Wonderful. Oh, you're big. You got lots of new fans, Tara. Lots of new fans. We got a lot of nasties that are already here. Big Ukes here, Corey B, Barry. We got Cal in the Park and his crew, and then we've got the Combine crew over here. There they are, Strudwick, Jersey, and then Derek Van Diest and Larry as well. We're going to have a great time. Come on down to Boston Pizza, 170th Street. They also have the Coors Light Golf Simulator League kicking up on December 8th. Registration kicks off November 28th. Check out Boston Pizza 170th Facebook page to register. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Coors Light Cup, Curtis took away because we were putting it on. Well, Big Uke put it on his head and wore it like a hat. Silly guy. 5 pints fit in that thing. And then that's 9 6 o'clocker loggers. All right. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show for Tara and all the nasties that are here. Yeah. Let's make some noise. Let's go. There we go. All right. We're going to have a really good Saturday here at BP 170. Come join us. Game day specials, a lot of prizes. We've got a Christian McCaffrey jersey we're going to give away, as well as a ton of other stuff. Come on down. For Ben Thomson and Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying have a great time watching the game. Join us if you're not doing anything, and we'll catch up with you on the post-game show. Ciao for now.